Hello, JoBi, Joe Biden. Based on what I said yesterday in the video, I thought, I had this thought in mind, this scheme or plan or so and so. And I wanted to discuss it with one of my children, but guess what? My children are those colonialist, imperialists. They don't want to talk to me, because I don't talk flip stand. They do, so they don't like me. But so I'll put it out now, and it's been a while in my head, like I don't know, 2, 3 years, 4 years, uh, plenty of in that safe, right, locked up uh, a lot. So, anyways, based on what I said yesterday, first I'm going to make a comment that this mass deportation, uh, uh, from what I understand it to be, and I thought it was, uh, that's going to be the fiasco of the century, or maybe longer, maybe the 1,000 years fiasco. This thing never works, man. You see the facts of United States being here in the Americas and South America and Canada and so on and so forth has been repeated in history many times before. I'll give you an example. 1,000 years ago, the Middle East was the golden place where knowledge was born, golden cities. I mean, it was the, like a fable, it was like an anecdote people talked about all over the world. And that made it a magnet, right? People from India, from China, from Mongolia, from Africa, from here and there, they converged all on that place. Why? Because it was the place of gold, right? I mean, virtually speaking. One of the immigration, the mass immigration happened was actually from northern India, and this would be the gypsies, right? So the gypsies, heard of what's going on in there, and so they got up and left in a million and came to the Middle East, and from there they spread out, right? That's why back home we call them Gajar or Gujarat, right? That's the formal name. I'm just making an example here. This is no more or less, right? So this is a fact of history of humanity. If you don't want people to come to your country and have a dream that looms on their horizon and they dream of and so on and so forth, try to look like Zimbabwe, where Snoop Doggy Dogg is from. Then people would look the other way, right? But so far, that's what it is. So this is a historical fact. You can't just mass deport those people and expect them not to come back. A wall, it's not going to prevent it. A wall is an obstacle. People are going, because now you can't see who's coming anymore, right? You blocked your own vision on the border, right? And people are going to tunnel under and scale up, and this is not going to work, right? And yesterday I said, people who go back there needs an incentive. Really, I had a plan in mind for a long time, and like I said, I was going to hand over to my children, at least 2 of them, because I know they're very smart, right? And I thought they would develop it into a plan, right? Well-detailed plot and plan, and and set up and so on, and they do what they do with it. But here it is in brief, right? So now you establish centers, right, in Central and South American countries, in the embassy, next to the embassy or an independent office, right? And that's where people come and apply to come to the United States, not as an immigrant, not as anything, except that it's they apply as laborers. So you issue them a passport, right? First, they come and apply, right? And they come and apply. And then after they're vetted, by local authorities, by whatever it is, you don't want like those drug runners just to come, right? Uh, and and then you issue them a passport. Why not an ID? Because a passport now, what happens is they keep checking on the site, right? On a website, whether if there's a job available or not, or something like that in the United States. So for example, old McDonald has a farm, right? And he wants 10 laborers, or 20 or 50 or so. So he places that with a center here in the United States, run by the government, your government, JoBi. I hope you start that and at least task some people who are smart, not who are privileged, right? So if you want to talk about it, bring people from universities and so on, those who are really known to know how to detail things out. I recommend my children. They're pretty smart, right? So, anyways, they can detail it out for you. So here, old McDonald places a bet, right, or not a bet. Sorry about that. He places a request, right, and then that request goes per quota. So you issue a quota similar to visas, right? Immigrant visas. You issue a quota every year, set quota for every country for immigrants, right? So you do it for laborers, right? And the laborer actually keeps checking on the availability of jobs, or they get notified by pager or email where they are, right? So they come and say, oh, I like this pays so and so, this pays so and so, right? And so they come and apply, or online, I'm interested, and then you choose how many, right? And then they travel here. So old McDonald goes to the airport or the bus station, and like you wait for your family and hug them, and so on when they arrive. So you hug your laborer and so on, and take them to the farm or restaurant or wherever it is, right? And this way, once they're done, they go home. In fact, I think they will like that, because now they don't have to struggle about finding food, if they don't find a job and so on. And I swear to God, I see things here in the United States, JoBi. That's appalling. One day, I don't want to say where, but it's in a cold region. And there were garages, right, where I lived, right? One day, I noticed this particular garage had like the garage door was always split open, right? But at night, it was closed. So I eventually looked, and then I found like a couple of Mexican guys just living in it, right? That's not a way to live, really, man. And because they don't have a job or anything else, right? So now, if they know, and here, of course, you issue an executive order or pass a resolution in the Congress that you can only hire through this particular office of government, labor office. And then you see what I'm saying, one day I was in Houston, and I've been through a rough patch when I came to this country. And temporarily, things went downhill, right? And I lived in a apartment complex that was abandoned, right? And I had to take my young children there for, I don't know, a few days or so, months, I don't know. And there was nobody there except one Mexican guy that lived across, right? And he was like 18 or whatnot. Right now, I got like airline tickets for my children and send them home until I managed things. And that's when I moved here to Illinois, to around Chicago, right? Hinsdale or something like that. Not Hinsdale, maybe, yeah, Hinsdale Incorporated, and then to Naperville, right? And then there's this guy. So when I moved, I got a truck and I put all the stuff in there, and it was a temporary place, right? But nobody would live there. Oh, nobody, right? I mean, the fungus and the walls, and when it rained, the ceiling, like it was like open, right? Open ceiling, and so on and so forth. So I had like some food, right? And that guy was all by himself, right? So not real food, I mean like cooking oil and whatnot and so on. So I don't want to bring that here. So I gave it to him the day before I left. And the next day when I left, drove that big yellow truck up here to Illinois. The guy was waiting, and he was like, gracias per comer, gracias per comer. He was like hungry. The guy was starved. I don't know how he lived, right? So now if there was an organized labor, right? If he was from Nicaragua or Managua or wherever he's from, Mexico or whatever, right? He can go apply, right? He is issued a passport, labor passport, yes, from the US. And then when a job is settled on, he gets notified, blah, 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 what he does and what he does not do, and so on and so forth. And he comes, they stamp a visa for him, right? Labor visa, and he comes and cross the borders. Nobody has to watch him, and he doesn't have to be subject for those El Coyotes, right? Those El Coyotes, right? Some people die there and nobody knows about them. Some of them are children, right? So if you organize that, and then the labor from within from the Americas, right? They come here, on a contract already arranged and so on. Otherwise, if they come here and they cannot find a job on their own. So if the labor, right, is organized, so old McDonald, calls the office, the local branch, right, and says, I need like 10 laborers and so on. This is how much money I will pay, blah, 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 blah. And then that's advertised. Oh, that will get filled in no time at all, right? And for 3 months or for 6 months or so, and then, they go home and then they exchange. So, for example, if there are so many laborers, right, you can give this guy 6 months and then send him home, right? He goes home, and then the other guy goes like comes again. And now you may say, well, if they come here, they'll just stay. They don't have to run across the border. No, right? That's not what happened. You can actually take them to that center, and then they travel back. Make sure of that, right? Or, and if they are here, they know, right? There is no job unless they go through that center, through that system. They go to the embassy, and there's an attachment to the embassy, and your office in the embassy, right? And then they get application, and they vet, and they issue you a labor passport, right? And that labor passport, say, expires in 2 years or 1 year, and so on. Like, you have to check in and so on. So it'll be organized labor. You see what I'm saying here? This is a root system. It could be grown into like a very big thing, right? And believe me, that deportation of 8 million and so on, I still doubt those guys. I think they're trying to get something going to get like billions for, super billionaires, right? No, that's what I call protocol 2025 and a half. Those elders of Trump and Elon Musk and so on and so forth, they capitalize, the protocol 2025, right? Project, no, protocol project 2025 and a half, right? That's funny. But that's reality, folks. I mean, the things that are happening is to steal billions, that's all. Like, that's right now, like I put it in the past, the United States is a cow that is literally skin and bone, right? Oozing, milking blood, right? And down on its side, down on the ground, can't even stand up on its own legs anymore. And the frenzy of the hyenas is ever intensifying, right? Now they got like drooling, right? They go ring the bell in the stock market, right? The United States in its entirety now is circling a black hole called the stock market, greeding, Frenzington, and fleece away. Institute of De-Economicization and De-Financing in New York. That's not funny, man. I know, that's not funny. Now, so you see the system, JoBi, you can at least, if you can't achieve it by the time you leave, you can establish, you can begin this project, right? So as to organize labor in the United States. You can't prevent those people from coming here. So if it is true that they will deport 8.5 million or 8 millions, that will turn out to be the biggest fiasco ever. I'm telling you, man, you can't just deport those people. They're already deep-rooted here, and if you deport them, maybe you can, maybe you can. They already are looking out for what's going to happen. It'll be impossible to catch all of them and send them out and so on. They will develop counter game. It's a game and counter game, right? Those illegal immigrants, they always know how to evade the capture and so on. So what I'm trying to say, JoBi, is that will turn out to be a fiasco, or these guys don't know what they're talking about. But this is a way to really work it out. And like I said, I had this in mind for a long time, but my kids will, like, if I can't, I mean, you can probably start an institute or a task force to really organize this and get it going and so on. If the world continues for next 4 years or next 10 years or whatever it is, this will work for you, right, JoBi? And like I said, I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm giving you a consultation. I believe, I don't see why not, right? Free of charge, man. Besides, I want to say something else. You can't be choosy about who comes in and who comes not, control the type. So if you only want to restrict it on those flip stands, whatnot, that's not fair, man. That's not true. I mean, I'm not a flip stand, right? And then I made it here through the cracks. The first time I got, some people ask me, how did you come here? I got a visa and I came here, right? And then I got my citizenship by way of a Senate or House resolution that if you were so-and-so, so-and-so, you get it. So I didn't get married, I didn't blah, blah. So at any rate, I don't think you regret me coming here, do you, JoBi? So that's what I'm saying is, open it up and don't worry about, certain stigmata, or you're not one of those new world and right? You know what? I think this is revolutionary, and I think other countries may adopt it as well. So if you establish those, show a passport after you vet the person, background and so on, you give them a passport, right? called labor passport, and that expires and then has pages. And then, whenever a job is agreed upon, a contract is agreed upon, they stamp you with that, and then you don't have to run across the desert and those ill coyotes, come and throw you in the desert. Something, what I heard, sometimes they leave them like in the desert, and some benevolent people, right? They go there looking for illegal immigrants. They give them food and water and so on. That's humanity, man. That's how it always been. Like building the Great Wall of China didn't prevent anything from happening to China. It cost them an arm and leg, and people died in the thousands building it and so on. But like I said, it has its own financial scheme and scam. That's unfortunate, man. If you ask me what's wrong with this country, it's those investors, man, and those politicians that are in their pocket. I think you're partially one of those, but you did better. I think you didn't steal as much as those two brothers that are joined, who are joined at the head, Obama and Trump. Oh man, these guys. Oh, people don't know what's coming their way. No, by Allah, I think not. But that's something you can begin, and that's just an idea. And this way, people know, if they know precisely that when they come here, they cannot find a job unless they go through the office, right? The labor office in the embassy, wherever they are. And the quota would depend on how many people, on population, or if there are stats, right, about how many people come from Mexico, how many people come from, Guatemala, or whoever it is, right? So you can divide it. There are stats. I'm sure the agencies here, they know how many of the illegal immigrants here, or immigrants, or whoever it is, are from this country and from that country, and so on and so forth. So that's what it is, I guess. Yeah, and old McDonald would be happy, and so on, and he doesn't have to hire illegal aliens, and so on and so on. And even that passport, you can add a driver's license to it. If they know how to drive, blah blah. You can give them a test and so on before they come here, and driving test, and you can just attach that passport with a driver's license to it, so they can drive here and so on. And then if the employer probably provide the car and insurance and whatnot. So that's all I wanted to say. And oh boy, you're gonna be unemployed, right, JoBi? So maybe you can open up a, one day I was driving in New York, or maybe twice or something, and I got surprised. I didn't know, on the sidewalks in Manhattan, I think, there were like these falafel stands, right? so I thought today, if JoBi is getting bored after retirement and so on, maybe he can open up a falafel stand in New York. And then when that guy, the other guy, Trump, if he's retired as well, he can open up a competition for you, like another falafel or shawarma stand. You guys can like compete, right? That guy got suckers, right? So I heard this conversation between these two. One is called Cruz and one is called Rubio, right? Those two guys who roll over, suck up to him. Why do they do that? The private conversation goes like this. Like they were talking, about them being Hispanic and so on in this country. Sure, why can't they become presidents too, right? So if Mr. Negrini, that's Obama, right, can become presidents, us two wetbacks can become presidents too, right? That's very funny. This is not racist. Those two wetbacks, Rubio and what's his name? I forgot his name. Those two guys that they're always sucking up, to who, right? I don't think it's a matter of love. I think it's a matter of drooling of future of something, right? And hey, JoBi, if you do that and things get, I think eventually people, those illegal immigrants will realize that this here is a system that could work for them. Eventually it will, people will start moving back home or coming back here, or right, if they know they have something, right? Otherwise, they know if they come here and can't find a job, they won't come here, right? And this will guarantee them, right? It'll be legal status. It will be, like good earnings and so on, guaranteed and so on and so forth, right? But if you want to deport 8 million, oh, they'll come back like within 3 months. They will start coming back by the hundreds of thousands. You cannot control that border. Oh, no, no, no. When you deport so many and they come back so many, how can you control it? You just can't, right? So it will be a big time fiasco. And, they will love you, JoBi. Those South Americans, they will erect a statue for you, right? And on it will be like El Presidente Jose Biden. Have a nice day. But you see what I'm talking about, right? That illegal alien labor and so on can be organized. And of course, there's an option. If you come here and find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, right? You love those white blah blah, and then you marry them. There's a path for it, right? It's not like totally so and so, totally so and so. But what I'm saying is, that's one way to resolve it. This deportation, mass deportation, it is not going to work. Not just that, you're gonna have like problems on your hand, because those people, what you're doing when you deport somebody who's been here for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that's life and death situation. You're really like, this would be akin to Syria. You know how Syria, this dog and the ones that are those effing Al Qaeda now replacing him, and you're supporting them, right? You better not. You better not, right? When they deported those 15, 20 millions, these people, they really never went away. That's their home. That's what they built, and they were there for thousands of years, even before those Fs, the ones that the occult that rules them now under Assad and coming under Golani now, right? Golani, right? They were there even before that, right? And then when they get deported, they deported their link. This is home. This is land. This is home. This is land. This is life. This is children. This is farm. This is education. This is language. This is religion. This is. They wouldn't go away, right? They're there hoping, waiting for things to change so they can go back. And believe it or not, those who have been here for so many years, that's that to them. It's like you're doing to them what that donkey, or they call him Assad, right? Did to the Syrian people. It won't be any different. The feeding within, that's how it is. So this will be the biggest fiasco ever, if it is true. Like I said, I doubt it. I think it's a ploy to siphon off money from the government and send it toward those ravenous, creatures in the stock market and so on. I think that's what it is. Super billionaires, they're drooling over a few more billions and so on. Many more billions. They don't like being super billionaire, or billionaire. They want to be super billionaires. And then for them, how they feel about it is F the country, right? So maybe it's a ploy. I don't believe it's doable. No. But if they really mean it and they want to deport 8 million, it's going to be one big fiasco, man. That's what I don't, and I assure you, I guarantee that it will not work. It's going to be one big disaster. All right, JoBi, you get the idea, and I think you should establish some kind of task force to detail what I just told you about, organize the labor into the United States and so on. This way you control it and make sure it's so and so, and by that, I think you could probably also control running drugs and so on, because a lot of illegal aliens resort to running drugs into the United States. But that does not mean, you get rid of the enforcement agencies. Enforcement agencies need to make sure that this is done. But now you don't have to wait on the borders to instead of like a few thousand a day, now you're going to expect hundreds of thousands a day, right? Because all these people are here, their children are here, and so on. It just doesn't work, right? Ultimately, like I said, it will start slow, but ultimately it will be automated on its own. A lot of people, whether South America or anywhere in the world, those good, honest people, and they're the vast majority, they would love to go, say, to come into the United States and work and go back legally, like earn their money instead of having to run across the border instead of so and so, instead of so and so. So, like I said, you can begin that, and eventually it may take a little bit of time, but eventually it will settle into a certain rhythm, right? And that's what it is. All right, JoBi, rice, boiled rice, basmati rice, and I add salt and giardiniera to it and Italian seasoning, right? And this is hummus. Hummus got a lot of magnesium in it. All right, have a nice day. Bye now.